Hey there, Captain Mutant here. This episode doesn't hang about. We're thrust into what turns out to be a flashback to a particularly gruesome and all-too-graphic scene where someone is extracting Borg implants from a fully conscious, de-assimilated person. It certainly shows us how harsh and dangerous some parts of the galaxy are, and fans of Star Trek Voyager will feel delighted and horrified within seconds of each other by what's taking place. It also helps us understand Seven's trajectory in the years since she left the USS Voyager. It's a fantastic, eye-opening introduction to a marked change of tone and pacing. The Dark. The revelation of the pre-title sequence isn't the only shock viewers will experience this time round. One will break your heart, another will feel like a vindication, and the last one will make you question what you know, if you didn't see it coming. It is tragic, dark, ominous. A sense of danger lies everywhere, and perhaps for the first time, we're not sure if all our characters will actually make it out of this adventure alive. The theme throughout is all about relationships, about trust, love, betrayal, and loss. The events are extremely well played and will rip you up emotionally. The Light. Despite this, the story also has lighter moments. This is well exemplified with all the pop-up ads that appear on the ship as our crew arrive at Free Cloud, a sort of Las Vegas-type planet, with each character getting their own personalized ad, all except Elnor, who expressed deep regret at this. Picard and his team are there to rescue Bruce Maddox, the researcher who created the biological androids Daj and Soji. We'd met with him before, 30 years ago, in the episode The Measure of a Man, when he was hell-bent on disassembling Data to see what made him tick and attempt to replicate him.
I believe I am very close to the breakthrough that will enable me to duplicate Dr. Soong's work and replicate this. But as a first step, I must disassemble and study it.
This rescue plan involves subterfuge, and it's ridiculous to see Picard pretending to be some kind of shady traitor with a ridiculous beret, an eye patch, and a very thick French accent. Rios is in on the action too, and I couldn't help but think of Kramer from Seinfeld when I saw his outfit. It was also a delight to see Elnor struggle with the pretense, since he had been raised to be always true and never deceive. He plays the comic relief this time, just as Dr. Jurati did in the previous episode. Fleshing out. Amongst all of this, there are moments of strong character development for 7 of 9, Raffi, and Dr. Jurati. We see them all struggling to make sense of the world they no longer recognize, with each doing what they think is right. We might not agree with it, but that is the path they have chosen to take. We have a clearer picture of why Raffi ended up where she did at the start of the series. We get an inkling of the struggle Picard faces in an excellent scene between him and 7. We can't help but feel for 7, and we understand more about Dr. Jurati's motivation. This time, Elnor and Rios were there just for the ride. You can't really flesh out everyone in 45 minutes, but 4 out of 6 ain't bad. Conspiracy. After this episode, Picard finally gets confirmation of the existence of Soji and where she's hiding. We understand why Daj was on Earth, while at the same time we're taken down into a rabbit hole of conspiracies. There is little the viewers didn't already know, but Picard is now presented with the idea that the attack on Mars wasn't as clear-cut as it might have seemed, that people in the Federation may have conspired with Romulans, and that there is indeed a conspiracy that goes deep, deep down. Easter eggs. There's quite a few Easter eggs, and my 2 favorites I can chat about without spoiling anything are some of the adverts we see when the team beamed down to Free Cloud. They enter Quark's bar. Quark was a delightful Ferengi character in Deep Space Nine, and we see that since that show's end, he's expanded his commercial empire and now has business ventures on other worlds. In perfect connection with his gritty Ferengi practices, his bar's motto is, "What is yours is ours."
Rob, that lady tells me she misplaced a fat currency pouch.
Yes, brother?
And that you found it.
Yes, brother.
And that you returned it to her intact.
I was dazzled by her beauty.
You worthless, tiny-eared fool. Don't you know the first rule of acquisition?
Yes, brother.
Then say it.
Once you have their money, you never give it back.
Exactly.
Right next to that bar is Mr. Mott's Hair Emporium. Mr. Mott was the Enterprise's hairdresser who appeared a few times during that show.
There's a time when you want to call a Romulan's bluff, and there's a time when you don't. Wouldn't you say?
Well, one does not always have the luxury.
Yeah, you've got to choose your time and place with them. True or false?
Yes, wherever possible. You've been discussing alternative adversarial engagement strategy with Mr. Mott.
Be more accurate to say he was discussing them with me.
He's the best barber in Starfleet. What can you do?
So his departure to set out in business on his own must have been a blow to the service. Final verdict. This is a complex episode. It isn't easy to juggle moments of pain and sorrow with laugh-out-loud moments. The stark contrasts between the two actually reinforce one another and make for a very moving and satisfying episode. I'm giving Star City Rag 3.5 tentacles out of 4. I'd said the previous episode, Absolute Candor, was the best one yet. Star City Rag tops it by a mile. We're halfway through the adventure, and I can't wait to see what happens next. That's all I have time for today. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll speak to you next time.